This is what it will look like. You didn't make us. We built a circuit, we built a nightlight, and we hope you had fun. So today we'll be building our LED nightlight, and in front of us we have our parts. So we have the top over here, and it comes with this small piece. As you notice in the kit, we have our bases, and in between you see the grease paper and these 4 pieces for the sides of our base. Now we're going to be clearing our area, just to make room, and we're going to be taking out our grease paper. Once we have our grease paper out, you're going to open it up and you're going to get your scissors because we're going to be cutting them. So you'll notice that there are lines drawn on the paper. So we're going to cut along these lines to ensure that we have 4 rectangles and a square. Okay, so let's just count off our pieces to ensure we have everything. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles, and as I said before, 1 square. Moving on now to the next phase of our build, we're going to take our top pieces. And you're going to notice that there are 4 pieces with specific letters. You're going to see S, you're going to have a T, E, and M. That spells STEM. So for this phase, we're going to be popping out our letters. So I'm going to gently pop out each letter. Remember, we're trying to preserve the frame. And as you try and pop them out, so we have completed our S here. And then we're going to be moving on to the T. I'm just going to be repeating the same procedure, just gently popping out the letters, ensure that you preserve the frame. Moving our T already came out, and now we're moving on to our E. Just take your time, makers. I want everything to be nice and tidy. And now to our last letter, we have M. So we're just going to be doing the exact same thing, just gently popping it out. And there you have it, makers. So now I'll be moving on to the next phase. As you can see, everything is nicely lined out. And in this phase, we're going to be marking our wrong side. So makers, grab your markers. I want you to flip over the pieces, and you notice on some of your pieces you're going to see some little burnt. They might have some colored markings. Those are wrong sides. So we're going to ensure that we mark them so that when we're gluing on our grease paper, we know exactly which side we're going to be gluing them onto. So I'm finished with most of my pieces, and now the last piece, the M. Just ensure that we know exactly where everything is supposed to be. So as you can see here, this is my right side, and where I have the marking there, that's my wrong side. We're going to be grabbing our grease paper, and we're going to be fitting it neatly over our frame. So our hot glue gun should be nice and ready and warm. Now we're just going to apply the glue right along the frame of the piece, as you can see here in the video. I'm going to paste on our grease paper like so. I'm going to repeat the same step for all our other pieces, makers. And just take your time. I want everything to be nice and neat. And makers, just a little tip, our hot glue dries very quickly, so show the delay. Once we apply the glue on the cardboard, we're just going to make our way add our grease paper immediately to ensure that everything sticks. Once we're finished with this makers, we're going to just lay out all of our pieces, connecting them at the ridges to ensure that they're in the right position. And this is very important as we're now going to be moving on to the next phase of our build, where we will be connecting each of these pieces with glue. Alright, so let's grab our S and our T, and what we're going to do, we're going to lay the S flat on the wrong side, as you can see here, and we're going to take the T and we're going to connect them at the ridge, forming a right angle. Okay, makers, and we're going to apply the glue right along this line as I'm demonstrating here, and this is to ensure that it stays in place as we build out our nightlight. Just apply the glue, holding it in place. You're just going to keep it there, makers, and hold it in place until it completely dries. Now, we're going to do the same thing, moving on to the next piece. We're going to get our E. So we started from S, we did the T, and now we're connecting our E. We're just going to be doing the exact same thing, connecting them at the ridges, holding it at a right angle, as you can see here. Just to ensure that everything is where it's supposed to be, and we're just going to apply the glue and hold it in place until everything is dry. So here we're at the last piece, the M, and we're doing the exact same thing, connecting it at the ridges, holding it flat, and gluing it together. Makers, can't you see our nightlight is coming together? Yes, so I'm gonna make sure you glue it in place, ensure that it dries, and we are getting closer to the finish line. By now, makers, we should have successfully sealed all of the corners of our nightlight. As you can see, we have the S, T, the E, the M, and we're now going to be gluing on the last piece of our grease paper, that little square at the top. So we're going to apply the glue all along the 4 sides, just as you see here. Now we're just going to glue down that last piece of grease paper. once we have secured the top, we're going to be moving on to the next phase, which we're going to be gluing on this little small piece at the bottom of the nightlight. So we're going to be flipping it over, and you'll notice that there are ridges, and we'll be fitting it in place. And as you can see here, I'm just making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, and we're going to be filling in the pockets in those ridges with glue. Once we're finished filling in the pockets, we're going to take the piece, we're going to snap it in the ridges, we're going to hold it down and ensure that it dries in place. Moving on to the next phase of our build, we'll be focusing on our base. So you're going to see there are 2 pieces here, and we have 4 pieces for the sides. So as you notice, you're going to see 2 long pieces, and we're going to have 2 short pieces. So what we're going to do, makers, is we're going to go for a marker again, and we're going to be marking the bottom for our base, and you're going to notice that there's no hole in it, so just mark a B there, so that's going to be placed at the bottom. And then this part that has a little hole in the center, I'm going to put a T there to show that that's the top of our base. Alright, and I also want you to mark the 2 long pieces versus the 2 short pieces. So just take one of the long pieces, we're going to flip it over, we're going to mark L for long, and the same thing for the short pieces, so we're going to put an S, so exactly where everything is supposed to be. Once we have completed the markings, makers, we're going to just put down the base, and when I take one of our long pieces, as you notice there's a little square there, just going to gently pop it out, because that's where our switch is going to be placed in later on. So we're going to be gluing on the 2 long pieces first, and glue them parallel on the base, as you can see here. So we're just going to put the glue neatly along the edge of the base, and then you're gonna glue on the piece, forming a right angle. Once you have attached the long piece, you're just holding it in place, makers, to ensure that it dries properly. Alright, and we're just going to be doing the exact same thing for the other pieces. As I said, you have to do the 2 long pieces first. So we're going to be attaching that, as you can see here. That's why we label them. So I put the glue, repeat the same procedure, put the glue along the edge, and attach our long piece. So we're now finished with the long pieces, just moving on now to the 2 short pieces, as you can see here. Just trying to make sure it fits in place, and once you see that it can fit, you're going to do the same thing, put the glue right along the edge of the base, and you're going to glue in the piece, holding it down, ensure that it dries in place. Once our pieces are dry, makers, you're going to notice that at the corners it's a bit loose, and that's fine. We're going to be fixing that. So what we're going to do, we're going to be holding one of the corners like so, forming a right angle, and once we hold it together, we're going to be applying the glue on the inside, and that glue is going to keep it secure. So it's going to apply some glue. I'm going to hold it in place, makers, until it completely dries. Alright, so my own right here is dry now, and I'm moving on to the next corner. So I have to ensure that it dries before I can move on to the next corner. I'm going to repeat this for the next three corners that I left. As you can see here, holding it in place, getting my hot glue, ensure that it forms at the right angle, and securing it in place. Once we have secured that last corner, we're going to be moving on to our circuit. So these are our components: the battery connector, the LED, and the switch. The circuit, makers, is a continuous loop of electricity. So let's see how this works. So in our components, you're going to see two different colored wires. And on our battery connector and our LED is the same thing. So we have our colored wire, which is always positive, and our ground wires, which are negative. So when we're connecting anything to our power source, we have to connect our positive to the positive and negative to negative. So we're going to start off with our colored wires here. We're going to form an X and wrap them around each other. Alright, makers, no need to rush. Once you have secured it, we're going to connect our negative leg. As you can see here, forming the X, wrapping it around each other, and securing it. Now to see if our LED is working, we're going to be putting in our batteries. And you're going to be noticing that there are some markings on our connectors. If you look closely, you're going to see a negative sign next to the spring and a positive sign on the other side. And you see that the same exact signs are on our batteries, makers. And that's how you're going to know exactly how to insert them. So you can see negative and positive. So we're going to be pressing down that negative side on the spring, and please, makers, have to ensure that it fits in perfectly. As you can see, I made a mistake here where I did not put it in properly and my LED wasn't working right. So make sure that you press down on the spring, slip it in properly, and look at that! Our LED is working, our electricity is flowing. Now, we're going to be adding on the switch, which is going to control the on and off of our electricity. So here's our switch, as you can see, and we're going to insert it in that little area at the side. Don't worry if it feels a bit too small, it should fit snugly. Alright, so once you press that in, you're going to realize that our wires are very pliable, so you can just make a little room, stretch them apart so that all our components will be able to fit in our base. Alright, makers, please note that the switch in our circuit has no polarity. So whenever you're connecting the other components, it really doesn't matter which leg you're going to be connecting to it. Whether it is negative or positive, it will always work. So In this case, we're just going to start off with our colored wires. We'll be forming that X. And we'll be wrapping our wires together. And once that's secure, we are going to be getting some electrical tape, and we're just going to be cutting a little piece to wrap our wires. So because we're doing this as a safety precaution, we don't want our wires to be, rubbing on each other or sparking or being damaged. So this is really to protect our wires and to ensure that we're executing a safe build. Alright. So once we have added our LED to our switch, we're going to be inserting our battery connector. As you can see here, whenever we're connecting to our power source, we're going to have to make sure that all the wires are the same. So we're going to connect this exposing ground wire here to the ground wire of our battery connector. As you can see here, we are forming an X, wrapping it around and securing it in place. We're going to do the exact same thing. Get our electrical tape, wrapping our wires to ensure that everything is safe and from harm. We're going to be connecting our last exposed leg here for our battery connector to our switch. So as I said before, makers, whenever you're connecting any component to the switch, it really doesn't matter which leg you're using since there's no polarity. Alright, so form the X, wrap our wires, and we're going to protect them with our electrical tape. So once we have connected all our legs, makers, it's time to power up our circuit. So just as you learned before, we're just going to be inserting our batteries to ensure that we're having electricity flowing in our circuit. Alright. And yeah, look at that, makers. Our circuit is working. As you can see, I'm flipping the switch off, turning it back on, and there we have it. Alright, so just to conserve a little electricity, moving on to the next phase, we're going to be attaching the top. And as you can see here, it has a little hole there. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be inserting LED through the hole. Alright, makers, and we're just going to be attaching the top. So as we're going to see that I'm going to apply a small amount of glue, not a lot, because you want to be able to, you want to remove the circuits, you want to be able to replace the batteries. It's wise just add a little glue just to keep the top secure for the night lights, and once the batteries run down you can always pop it off and replace it. Alright, so just pulling down the top in place, and we're getting so close to the finish line. So as you can see here, makers, is what it looks like. Our base is complete, and now we're going to be moving on to the final stage, piecing everything together so that as you can see, our top is finished, our base is finished, and there you have it, makers. Our night light is complete. Really hope you had fun. Let's turn on our light to see if it's working. Wow, look at that, makers. Our night light is complete. And once you're in a room that is pitch black and dark, this is what it will look like. You did it, makers. We built a circuit, we built a night light, and we hope you had fun. Bye.